Inktober is now over, so let's do a sketchbook tour. Hello guys, so it has been quite the month of Inktober. There's been so many high and low points for me personally, and I'm going to talk about that when I get to the specific pages or around the time that it was happening. If you've watched previous videos, you might have an idea of what already happened. Without further ado, or better late than ever, let's get flipping through the pages. So just before I flip through the pages, I just want to say that if you haven't already, you can watch my previous year's worth of Inktober sketchbook tours. I have 4 other sketchbook tours for you guys to watch and delve into. If you want to watch those first and come back to this video, then be my guest. It really gives you a sense of how much my artwork has improved these last 4 years and how much Inktober is a vital part of that. So I will leave an Inktober playlist link up in the right hand corner in the iCard, as well as down below in the description. So day 1 was Ring. Now this one already has a process video to it. This was actually done in my very first Inktober video of this year, where I delved into tips and tricks behind Inktober. Since I have been doing it these last 5 years, I've kind of picked up a lot of experience doing it. So for those who are new to the channel, the way I did it last year was I wouldn't do a physical representation of the prompt like some other people. I would actually put the prompt word of the day in a caption that kind of goes along with the story I want to tell. So day 1's prompt word was ring, and the caption is, "The ring on her finger weighed heavy on her heart." Something that also did not translate very well from original to the video footage was the fact that I added silver in certain places. I just thought it added something very, very special. You can probably tell by now that the way I've done Inktober this year is to focus on colour. Now last year for day 1 I actually did Poison. This is day 2 of 2019 that is Mindless. So there is actually a lot of pieces in 2019 that reference 2018. They are either sequels or they reference it in some sort of way. So I'm actually going to show off the ways that they complement each other or go together. So day 2, Mindless, let's just shift this to the side just to show you day 1, which was Poison, or was it Poisonous? I forget, because one year there was a theme of poison. I think that was day 3, 2017. You can kind of see the similarities in the colour scheme. I wanted to keep the colour scheme relatively similar. Day 2, Mindless, is actually very much a sequel to day 3, Poisonous of 2018. Not just in colours, but also in character concept, because this is Nicholas when he was younger, and this is obviously when he's older. So the caption for this, day 2, Mindless, is, "She thought I was her mindless chess piece. I hoped she was wrong." If you're new to this channel, I have a lot of stories, so some of it is easy to understand, others is like, no it's not. It's a little bit more complicated. There's a lot of lore to my OC universe, and if you're new to the channel, get ready to go deep. Day 3 is Bait. So this one kind of does have a reference in the previous Inktober, just moving this across a bit. Its link is actually found in day 13, I think it is, and I think it's guarded in 2018's. I do actually imagine different styles of balcony in this castle, so these 2 different styles could be different. So the characters' names are James and Kanara. This is already going to be a long video, I can sense it, but I'm here for it. Day 3, Bait. Its caption is, "Desperate to save her, he made himself the bait." So from an outsider looking in on this, it doesn't really match up, but in context of the story, which I'm not really going to spoil too much because I am working on projects to do with my stories, so I don't want to give away too much, but in the context of the story it really does make sense. So day 4 is Freeze. So I'm gonna say off the bat that not a lot of people actually know this character exists. I didn't really want to make her look like Anna and Elsa, even though because of my style I think that it's inevitable in some sense. So day 4, Freeze, its caption is, "Enough. An impossible freeze filled the air. It was the Ice Princess. But what was she doing in Cinder Ash?" So you can probably tell by now, the captions actually vary in how I've used the word. So they can actually be used in the tense of the characters or just an overall telling of the story. They can be used in so many different senses. In this sense, it was used as dialogue and description of how the story would play out. So I'm not sure it's obvious, but I think it is, that the way I do Inktober definitely hints to aspects of each story. So there's a lot of different stories going on here, and it only hints to at least a snippet of each story. This has happened on a couple of pieces. Now, as you can see, when I lie it flat, it shines. That is because the ink has dried shiny, or I layered it up thick to get a really, really dark color. It's supposed to look like this. So photographing these ones was actually really difficult because obviously I didn't want the shine to be in the photograph. So I would actually use my kneaded eraser just to like slip underneath it, just to like tilt it for the photo. But this character, her name is Typhy, and that hand belongs to her mother, Emlyn. And the caption on this one pretty much tells you quite a lot about this story of Typhy and her mother's relationship. So this being day 5, its theme is build, and the caption goes as follows: "Emlyn signed away her daughter's life to build an empire." So there are actually things that happen before Emlyn signs away Typhy's life as she knows it, and it does actually make sense why Emlyn would sign Typhy's life, or happiness in this case, away to build an empire, or to build back her empire. I think that gives you more of a clue as to why she would do this to her daughter. But in this one, I really love the color scheme. So day 6 is Husky. This is also a character that you haven't really seen too much of. He was introduced in the last sketchbook tour as well as Never was. Seeing him is actually kind of weird in my sketchbooks because it's still new to me as well. This one also has some gold detailing. So this is Briar. Now, for those of you who don't know, Briar is actually Nicholas's sister-in-law. She is Vanessa's sister. The caption for day 6, Husky, is, "I watched the dawn break through, just as a husky voice cut through my thoughts. You're up early, Rosie," he smirked, the crisp ocean air making his bandana ends flutter. And for those of you who've been following Inktober from last year, you might recognize this as a little bit of a reference. So just to show you guys the reference that I am talking about, so this piece actually links to a couple of Inktober pieces. It links to day 12, which is Whale. So this is kind of what's happening underneath the sea. And obviously you can see it's different times of day. This would mean that this character, her name's Pearl, she would do her whale riding multiple times throughout the day, or whenever she can. So it doesn't really matter what time of day it is, but I thought it'd be a really, really cute little reference. It also happens in day 17, which is Swollen. You can see up here that it's also referenced again. So day 7 is Enchanted, and it doesn't really fit with the conventions that I've set myself up for this year with color schemes. So this character's name is Holly Bell. I don't know whether you can see it, but it's actually a really light blend of this pink and yellow. It's probably not showing up on camera as well as it is in real life, but it's very, very light up here, so the camera is kind of blowing it out a bit, and I'm sorry. So the caption for day 7, Enchanted, is, "One glance was all it took. He was enchanted. She'd stolen his heart." So the consensus for the next one was actually that it was the favorite of a lot of people on my Instagram posts. It looks like this. It does suffer with a little bit of shininess up here, not too much. It could be a lot worse. but this is day 8, Frail. I'm also kind of on the fence about this one being a favourite because I do like it. The composition is there. I love the colour story as it like fades into black. It just looks really, really cool, especially with the theme. It fits very well. It definitely has a very different tone to the rest of my work, which I think is what made it a standout piece. The character in this one is Queen Yulia of Mariposa. So the caption for day 8, Frail, is "No one must know," the Queen coughed. Argus knew it was only a matter of time. Yulia was too frail to fly. So day 9 is Swing. Now, so this one actually links to a lot of different pieces throughout the years, but I'm just going to explain this piece and then just quickly show off the other pieces that link to this one. So the two characters are Alton and Moira. So in this part of the timeline, and that's another thing I forgot to mention, is that all of these pictures are like from different points of the timeline, so it could be from whenever. So this is Alton Dovahkiin and this is Moira Cross, and she does become Moira Dovahkiin. So it kind of tells you the story of how Jalal's parents get together, which is so cute. I really wanted to explore more of that. So day 9, Swing, its caption is, "Whenever he would swing by on his breaks, she was in her own world. He'd always linger for a moment before knocking." So I know for a fact that day 4 of 2018, which I think was Spell. Okay, so day 10. Now, I actually have done quite a lot of these like very white to yellow and then to another color gradient. You could see it in the last one, Swing. I think at this point I was actually getting tired of that because I actually wanted to change up the way it was happening. So these two characters are Daphne Dovahkiin and Hide Oshiro. So for those who don't know, Daphne is a character who is kind of like a spirit. She is actually never born in the main story, but she kind of does grow up more so as a spirit. She is Jalal's sister because obviously she's a Dovahkiin. And don't mind me, my hands are getting more dirty because in some cases I used very pigmented watercolour and not inks, and obviously it causes some element of transfer. So this is day 10 and the prompt is pattern. So the caption for this ended up being, "He was so focused on his blueprint pattern, he didn't notice her presence." So really speaking, nobody can actually see Daphne. Daphne is a spirit, so obviously nobody can see her. But because Hide is an inventor, I think one of his technologies would actually be able to see her. So day 11 is Snow, and you can see a very, very big connection to day 4 of this year. Now, my camera is having a field day with this one. It does not like the fact that I've used such light colours. Maybe my light is too bright, I don't know, but it's not having a good time. You can see the different tones when I tilt it like this, so hopefully that's okay, but it just blows out all of the light tones. You can't see all of the intricate like blending work, so I'm so sorry. The caption for day 11, Snow, was, "She quickly became overwhelmed. Her hair unraveled into a blizzard, filling the sky thick with falling snow." So day 12 is really cute. I really enjoyed doing this one. It is adorable. And it's of Jalal and his dad Alton. So day 12's theme was dragon. So of course I had to do Jalal. This is also blowing out the colours. It's also got some shiny ink on the black as well. But oh, look at him. Oh, sorry. I'm just like, oh, he's so cute. So as I said before, the theme is dragon, and the caption to this one is, "Whether it was a blessing or a curse, a dragon-born Dovahkiin came from the love of his nurse." So the caption almost sounds a bit like a prophecy, which is kind of cool. I really like the way that it sounds. So day 13 is Ash. Now, day 13 there was a bit of drama because my light pad decided to die just as I pressed start stream, my light pad decided to not work anymore. It just gave up on life after almost 7 years of service. So, okay, that's fine. I had to fast order a new one, but so with this one, because I didn't have my light box, I actually started this on the 14th, so I was already starting to run at least a little bit late. So I started this on the 14th of October. The 14th is a very important date, and I'll explain why in a minute. But I actually waited until the morning and used my window to kind of sketch out the main line, so I didn't need a light box for this one in particular. So the theme for this one is ash. So of course I had to link day 12 and day 13 together because they just went hand in hand perfectly together. And the caption for this one is, "His rage subsided as ash cloaked the ground." The 14th is overgrown. I'm just gonna cut this in the middle and just say that on the 14th, I had a huge panic attack. It was something that affected me very deeply. Inktober was not the cause of this panic attack, by the way. I'm the kind of person to drop any project that becomes toxic in any sort of way to my health, whether it's physical or mental health. So of course I did not drop Inktober because it was not the cause. Had it have been the cause, I would have dropped Inktober entirely. So it actually links to Prickly. I think it's day 23 of last year, because this is actually the same kingdom. It appears in the same kingdom. Prickly is obviously about the brambles, and Overgrown is also about how the kingdom was overgrown once it was abandoned. So the caption for day 14, Overgrown, is, "Nature had claimed back Hallie. It was overgrown and almost completely forgotten." So day 15 is Legend. We are halfway through. This video is going to be so long. I apologise. The caption for day 15, Legend, is, "Their love became a story of a Krellian legend." So Krellian means the kingdom of Krell, the underwater kingdom. These two characters are actually Pearl's parents. This guy's name is Morwen. He's known as an angelfish, which makes him falling in love with a human, obviously, a Veronan citizen known as Phoebe Paloma. Very ironic is Phoebe is the sister of Skylar's mother, Faye. So yes, Pearl and Skylar are actually cousins. I feel like for other people that will be a big bombshell, but for me it does not feel that big at all. So day 16 is Wild, and of course I had to do my wild child, or should I say our wild child, because Instagram helped design him, Elias, and his love interest, Lorelei. So Elias is actually from the Instagram Designs My Character series. He was episode 2, I believe. I will leave a link to that up in the iCard so you can actually see me creating this character right here. So the caption for day 16, Wild, is, "He growled like a wild animal at me, like I was his prey." So it's from the perspective of Lorelei. So this piece actually kind of turned into a primary colours challenge almost. Even though it looks as if I've used a brown for Elias's hair, I didn't. I actually just lightly washed the red over a very light wash of grey. So day 17 is Ornament. This character, her name is Sajini Jenna Robin. And in the point of the story, she's actually called Sajini Jenna Linley, because in the point of the story, she married and then she went off to do her own thing afterwards. The camera is having a really hard time with some of these colours. I am sorry. I do a lot of really light to dark gradients in my work, and my camera is, it's having a moment. So I used incredibly warm colours for this, and you can see the gold detailing in her hair as well as on her dress as well. I thought it was a really, really pretty detail, so of course I had to do it. So the caption for day 17, Ornament, is, Outside of producing an heir, I was nothing more than an object, a mere ornament. So day 18 is Misfit. Now, Misfit was actually a really hard one to draft because I didn't really know exactly which character to go with. I could have gone with so many different characters. So the character in this one is actually a child, Melissa, in this one. I haven't drawn Melissa in a long time, and there's some characters coming up, I think it's in the next one, that I haven't drawn in a long time either. So Misfit's caption is, although harmless, she quickly gained the reputation of a misfit. If you hear fireworks in the background, it is because Bonfire Night is November 5th. Sorry, just gonna have to deal with it. So day 19 is Sling. And I really didn't know who to draw for this at all. And then I thought, hey, obviously a sling can be used for somebody with injuries, and I kind of flipped back through my previous Inktober book at this point because I was really stuck on what to do. And this next one that links to it isn't a perfect match, but it kind of matches. This is, I think, day 5 Chicken from last year. So this is Rocco and Reese. They were some of the first characters I introduced, and I never really did much with them, and I feel really bad for that, but they became more background characters or characters that don't take a main center stage in the story, but they do have their own story. Now, the caption for this one is, "Now, don't move so I can tie up the sling," Reese sighed. So his twin brother Reese, even though he is the younger brother, is tying up his older brother's sling, which I think is so sweet. So the next one is day 20, Tread. Now, I actually really like the colour scheme in this one before I even start talking about anything, because it's very muted. It reminds me of the Legend theme from like earlier on in the book, and what's ironic about that is this is Pearl, this is their daughter on the same beach, so the fact that it's kind of like the same colour scheme I think is really cool. I really like the way it looks. It's very nice, it's very pleasing. So day 20, Tread, its caption is, "She would tread lightly through the sand, wobbling. It's as if she'd never walked before." So obviously this is from the perspective of Sparrow. So then we have day 21, which is Treasure. Now this one actually links to day 6, Husky, because the treasure in this actually belongs to Callan, or the Pirate King, from day 6. Now you can see that this one has a lot of gold in it. It's also shining with the amount of black ink that's in this piece as well, so you might see the black is shining as well. So the caption for Treasure is, "He would collect treasures on his travels." So you can kind of tell in some of the captions I've actually made the words plural just so it would fit with the story a lot better. So day 22 is Ghost. I know a lot of people were actually looking forward to this one from me. It's not as complicated as some people might have hoped, but I like it, okay? So day 22, Ghost. The two characters in this are obviously Skylar. People have been waiting for a picture of Skylar, so the last few pieces have actually shown characters that I haven't drawn in a long time, which is awesome. So the caption for Ghost is, "A ghostly chill washed over him as he sensed her presence." But day 22 and day 10 of this year link because the first one was about Hide being distracted and not seeing Daphne's presence, but this one is very much the opposite because Gabriel senses Skylar's presence. Hide and Gabriel in the timeline are actually friends, and they link because obviously they have two ghost girls following each of them. Gabriel finds Skylar and Daphne finds Hide. The thing about Gabriel, he's actually a paranormal investigator, so it's really cool that he finds Skylar. So the next one is day 23, Ancient. Now, the hand in this one belongs to River. Now, River is Loki's mom, and River actually appeared in day 1. I don't think I mentioned that. I'm sorry if you're all the way through the video and only finding out that day one's character is River. I'm sorry, that was my bad. So with Ancient, the caption to this one is, Time Ice was an ancient and dangerous incantation. What was its book doing out in the open? So day 24 is Dizzy. It's actually really sweet. It's of my character Skipper and Isla. And Isla is Nicholas's daughter with Vanessa. So day 24's caption for Dizzy is, as he danced with her, his heart was racing. The thoughts of her made him dizzy. I'm not afraid to admit when the pieces don't turn out the way I want them to, and Dizzy was not really how I wanted it to go. So day 25 is Tasty. Now this one kind of links to all of the pieces that have Hallie in them. This is because the character in them becomes the king of Hallie. So there obviously is a link between them. But in this one is actually a part of Brandon's story. Brandon is actually a really old character of mine. If you've been following me since before even my YouTube channel started, you might even know who Brandon and Amelia are before I kind of like repurposed them for my OC universe. But the caption for day 25, Tasty, is, he thought himself only a baker's son, making the tastiest bread in Verona. Little did he know what life would have in store for him. The light is coming from the bread oven. I'd imagine it being incredibly hot, and why didn't I draw sweat? I don't know. I think before I do any scans of this, I might go back and add any details that I forgot. They'd be very minor details, so it would be very minimal in terms of changes. So day 26 is Dark. Now, dark could have been taken in so many different directions. The themes this year in general were just so much harder than last year. But as I said before, I wanted it to be more cohesive to make the Inktober just link together so much better and feel so much more satisfying as a whole. So this is actually linked to River, Loki's mom. So this is actually Loki's dad, and his name is Jonathan. I have never revealed Loki's dad's name ever. The only time his name's ever appeared is actually on live streams, but I've never officially announced it. So this is the official announcing of Loki's dad's name. And this picture is a part of the story of Loki's mum and dad finally meeting. So the caption for day 26, Dark, is, a moon's glow suddenly broke through the dark storm, and the prince laid eyes on the castle of Leiluda. Day 1 would actually happen around the same time that this is happening, which would make sense because of the lighting in day 1. So day 27, Coat. Of course I had to draw Hawk at some point. Hawk is an iconic character. Even though he's evil, he's some people's favourites. Because he's that evil. He's just evil for the sake of it. That is how he is, and obviously this one is covered in gold. I love it. This actually has different shades of gold. I don't know whether you can tell the different shades of gold because it's very, very shiny. So the caption to day 27, Coat, is, the crowned prince received the kingdom's coat of arms to signify his new status. Now, this kind of comes earlier in the timeline to one that links to this one. Now, day 11 of last year kind of has the same sort of vibe going on, and I wanted to keep it a little bit cohesive, and it just looks really cool. I really like the way that these two pieces fit together. So day 28 is Ride. Now this one, in terms of colouring, is probably one of my favourites. I love high contrast blends. They're just so satisfying to see, and they're also really difficult. They're challenging, and I love challenging in my artwork. So the two characters in this are Typhi. So she appears in day 5 build. This is Hayako, but he's in his disguise as Hisoki. So Typhi only knows him as Hisoki. But the caption for day 28's Ride is, let me take you for a ride. Hisoki held out his hand. What, don't you trust me, princess? It kind of has that Marie-Chat Aladdin vibe, which I am all here for. Ooh. So these 2 pages got a bit stuck when trying to flip them. That's unsatisfying. So then we have day 29, which is Injured. So this character is Briar. She appears in day 6, Husky. So the caption for day 29's Injured is, I'm not as gifted as my sister, but I can still heal the injured. Now, Briar's powers aren't as potent as Vanessa's. So this is why she's saying it in the caption. In terms of like technique, I feel like this one just is the weakest because it didn't take as much time as the rest of them. And I will say it was like 2 a.m. when I was doing this piece, so I was pretty delirious. So that's probably why it took not a very long time. So day 30 is Catch. Now, last year I did a picture of Loki and Elijah. I really wanted to do another picture of these two again. Elijah is actually a character that does not belong to me. He belongs to my friend Paxton. He's this werewolf character and he is Loki's boyfriend. This one has a very complementary colour blue and orange aesthetic. So the caption for Catch is, his fingers would always catch in her curly locks. Paxton actually really liked this picture and I'm so happy that he likes it. By the look of it, Elijah recently had like a change in design. I don't exactly know how recent that was, but he looks really, really cool. So day 31, the final day of Inktober. We are finally at the end of the video. Oh, just a rush of emotions just hit me. Just like, this is it for another year. I don't know whether I'll do Inktober next year because we hit a 5-year milestone. It'd be really cool to carry on with Inktober for the rest of the time, but I don't know. It's up in the air at the moment, but I dare say when we get closer to Inktober next year, I'll be like, I'm doing it for the 6th year. So day 31 is Ripe. This is what the colours look like. It's kind of shining because like the Copic ink, I kind of had to layer it a lot because the colours, obviously being complementary, were kind of hard to blend. This piece also has some gold in it as well. In the original Instagram post, it did not have the gold in it. I actually added the gold after I'd finished because I'd realised I'd wanted some gold, but it wasn't there. So of course I had to add it. So this character's name is Iris. She's actually appeared in multiple videos before. I think the main series of videos that she has appeared in is Draw This Again. Now her original colours are actually purple and pink, but because I wanted a complementary colour scheme of like green and red, I switched up her dress colour, and her name is actually named after a purple butterfly, but I really like the way that this red looks on her, and I might change her outfit in the future. I don't 100% know if that is going to happen, but for the most part, I'm actually thinking of changing the way she looks because of this piece. So the caption for this one, day 31 Ripe, is the fruit she picked for her princess was always fresh and ripe. But as for the colour scheme, red and green is actually incredibly hard to pull off, and looking at my track record of trying to pull off red and green colour schemes, it's not great, it's awful. So the fact that this red and green colour scheme came out so beautifully, I actually really, really love it, and it's a really nice end to Inktober 2019. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, you can like and subscribe if you haven't already with those post notifications on for notifications for every time I upload or live stream. And remember that if you want to see more, there's actually an iCard with a playlist link to all of my Inktober videos I've done over the last 5 years. So if you want to go see what my old Inktobers used to look like more in depth, I will leave a link to those, and also down below in the description as well. So I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys!